Welcome to the Gloves Are Off Overtime Edition. I'm Moses Woolden, and I'm pleased to be joined by these two fine gentlemen. Kevin Cush, of course, you are our guest today. You are the president of Lloydminster Ball.
Correct.
And we have Greg Buchanan.
Hey, Moses.
My wonderful co-host.
Yes.
Who's growing the playoff beard for his junior Bandits.
Yes.
And they're looking pretty good. They got a second-round matchup with Wainwright coming up, too, as well. So
looking forward to it.
Exactly. One of the things you can also look forward to is the Major League Baseball not pressing charges on you, Greg, even though you don't like Bud Selig, much like Alex Rodriguez hated Bud Selig. I will say this, Anthony Bosch and Biogenesis, of course, this huge scandal that came out, especially around 2013, had 14 players listed in terms of those who took performance-enhancing drugs. One of the big characters was Alex Rodriguez. Now, of course, he's been put away, and therefore, Biogenesis, we'll just wipe our hands with you. You go, you do your business, and that's what happened. Their case got dropped by Major League Baseball. Is there more to the story besides MLB going to great lengths to go after Alex Rodriguez, or was that the whole basis to begin with?
Well, I think that was the basis. I think the other players that were involved served their suspensions. They
Ryan Braun being an example.
Yeah, exactly. And, Rodriguez thought, hey, let's challenge it. And Bud Selig and crew didn't like that a whole bunch. And I think that's the big point of this whole story, is that A-Rod was the one who challenged, and that's where the MLB fought back. They had nothing against Bosch and the other guys.
I think it just became personal between Selig and A-Rod, and it becomes personal. Selig ends up winning at the end of the day. He's the boss, and he made the call and made the deal.
All right, guys. What about Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer? Two wonderful Canadians that did well on the podium in 2010 in Vancouver, winning gold in the pair skate. However, this time around in 2014, they had a bit of a rivalry with an American couple who were also coached by the same coach that they had. Now, to me, that seems like a bit of a conflict, but they still stuck with it. After the Canadians, even though they did have virtually a flawless victory or flawless performance, they were still given the silver medal, and the gold medal was awarded to the American couple. Now, in this situation, both Moore and Virtue were, I won't say upset, a little disappointed, but there were a few jabs. Eventually, they did apologize towards the coach, saying, you know what, maybe we should have rethought this whole situation. Is that a little bit of sour grapes, perhaps? Because they also mentioned that she spent a little more time, or she seemed like she was rooting for the Americans more so than for the Canadians.
But you knew this going into the Olympics. This is not just all of a sudden happened before the Olympics that this coach was taken over and she was coaching you. This was happening for possibly, I think it was years, a couple of years that she'd been coaching this team and coaching their competitive team too. So I don't buy it at all. You knew what you're getting into. You had the same coach, and it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you, Greg. I mean, this going in, it wasn't like the Kevin Dineen example where all of a sudden Coach Lee's right before the Olympics. They had a lot of time to think this one through and see what they wanted to go, and they made their choice, and now you live with it.
All right, guys, I want to talk about the Cleveland Browns and the San Francisco 49ers. This was a bizarre story that actually broke during the weekend and finally was admitted by the Cleveland Browns, which makes sense because as a Browns fan, I was wondering why haven't they chosen a head coach yet? Turns out they were after Jim Harbaugh the whole time. They were actually offering picks and what have you, players in a situation so they could bring in the head coach who went to 3 straight NFC championships and a Super Bowl. So guys, does this seem bizarre if you're the 49ers to give up a head coach who's had so much success, or is there some, plausible answers as to why this was actually considered?
You almost get a feeling that maybe Cleveland kind of knocked on San Francisco's door and said, would you be interested? And then San Francisco just kind of listened for a bit. Were they going to make the deal? Not unless it was really sweet. I don't think it was sweet enough for San Francisco. So as much as what he's done with that team over the last number of years, sometimes if you're running a team and you're getting possibly a real good deal, you'll take a listen.
Yeah, you're getting multiple picks. And if you're getting multiple picks, remember, the Browns, they're not a successful team. So they're going to be a lot of first-round studs available.
Yeah, you're not going to get any great talent out of Cleveland coming your way, but you could get pretty good picks.
Absolutely, and with the cap league, let's face it, picks are huge because as players get into their contract years after, they want to be paid. San Francisco is a great team. These guys want to be paid. You can't afford everybody, so you're getting picks back. The other thing too is in terms of Harbaugh, how well does he fit? He's a guy who likes control. When he's with Stanford, he agreed to go to Stanford, but there were some parameters around there where he had total control over everything to do with football, even though he was the head coach. So I mean, I'm starting to wonder how is that playing out here.
All right, guys. A lot of great topics and discussion. I appreciate you coming on. Kevin, thank you.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
And Greg, as always, thank you.
Thanks, Moses.
All right. Thank you for joining us on the OT edition of Gloves. You can tune in every Tuesday night on CITL at 7:30, and then come back to our Facebook page for the questions that haven't been answered and watch these lovely faces that sit across from me. In the meantime, we will see you in 7 days.